Okay, it's been a while since I've done a commentary. I've kind of missed it actually. I've just been really hard at work on reviews, so I haven't had time to just kind of sit down for a half hour at a time and do these. But the story is right now is I am incredibly ill, and I can't focus on anything really. So I figured I'd watch some videos and talk about them. I think it was either Luke Mockery or Bennett the Sage just made me sick. Anyway. I have a really cool story, but I want to talk about the setup to this, and this was an April Fool's video, obviously. I don't think it really fooled anybody, except for the fact I put it up as the second part of Deadly Premonition. But the story is, I have to explain the impression. The funniest part of this impression is I spent like 2 weeks growing out my beard and trying to grow a goatee to mimic Brad's goatee, and you can barely see it. I am not the kind of guy that can grow a beard. It kind of grows in the same color as my face, so there's hair there, but it's kind of just like this tan color. But I was at a Bookman's, which is a used bookstore if you don't know, and I was looking through the VHS tapes because I like to kind of troll for bad sci-fi, and I was actually looking for something for Brad to review because I remember seeing a bunch of stuff, one called Hood of the Dead, which was past its cutoff date. But I was like, oh, an Edgar Allan Poe story. That's exactly what I thought when I picked it up. And on the bottom it says Zombie 5. And the title card says Zombie 5. If you type in Zombie 5 in IMDb, there it is. So if there is an official sequel to, if there is a Zombie 5 in the series, this is it. Killing Birds is probably, the one Brad did, Killing Birds, is probably one of those that just kind of got dubbed Zombie 5 unofficially. I can't hear the video right now, but I hear this is one of Brad's favorite parts because he quotes this at me whenever we show this. I go, the big tits dragon. What? Oh, the bare feet. I do this. I actually wish I'd kind of done this more, but the one time with the bare feet was kind of his calling card. But yeah, Brad really likes that part where I go, the big tits dragon. What? Because I don't know. I was actually not happy with the intro to this because I tried to copy all the various Brad mannerisms, and he kind of does this what thing. The early part was like I said, like this is something that I found a movie that fits the bill, and I was like, he never says that. Oh, fuck. Oh well. But where was I? I was rambling. There's a lot of subtle touches, if I do say so myself, with this video that I'm very happy with. That if you go way back in time to Brad's early videos, that you'll notice. Most notably, there's a difference between the audio of the live segments and the voiceovers, because what Brad does is, I used to do this myself, was I used to record the live stuff live, and I used to record the voiceover at my computer, which is what Brad still does. I stopped doing that because I actually watched Nostalgia Critic doing it. He records all his voiceover and live just in front of the camera, and he cuts out the video. Pardon me. But I did it because the reason you do that is because there's a noticeable difference between microphones and just room noise. And that's not to say Brad does it badly. I'm just saying, like, there's a difference. And I actually rather like it's kind of a trademark of what Brad does now. But the real thing that I like is the difference between the live segments is you can hear the camera motor, which in Brad's early videos you can hear this really distant whine noise from his camera motor, which, if you don't know, if you're recording, the reason you don't like DV cameras is because they have a motor, and motors make noise. And you can hear this, especially if you're using the onboard microphone of the camera, which Brad does. And I copied that. I copied the bad lighting and just the general, almost the bad camera angle, where it being kind of really low looking up at him, where he's kind of imposing. And that's not, like, basically I made my video look like shit, and made it look and sound like shit. And that is not a judgment on Brad's videos. I'm not saying they look like shit. Actually, he has improved dramatically over the years to where I'm actually rather impressed with how it's shot. But early on, his early videos looked like shit. Like, I'm sorry, they did. My early videos looked like shit. They looked and sounded like shit. If you go back and listen, the audio, it's night and day. So I'm not in any way insulting Brad Jones in his videos. In fact, I actually cleared this with him. I was like, I don't want this to come off like mean-spirited. This is what I'm doing. I'm coming at it from the utmost respect. I just want to make like an old-style Cinema Snob review. And it's going to look and sound like your videos, which frankly didn't look that good. And he's like, I know, it's cool, dude. So yeah, like seriously, I'm not saying like I'm so much better, I'm so much cooler. No, 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 not at all. I'm saying this is like his old videos. You can barely see the guy in his old videos. There's shots in his basement where it just looks like a dark figure in a dark room, and you can barely make him out. So he's sitting on the floor. I actually should have been sitting on the floor, which would have been really funny. Also, the posters. I ordered a Danish Caligula poster from, I think it's moviepostershop.com. But you can see back there's a Zardoz poster and a Bad Lieutenant Port of Call New Orleans poster, which are very, very much Bradisms. Actually, the most expensive prop was probably the Caligula poster, which was like $25, but it was worth it. I very much like it. People have kind of complimented me on the Brad voice, and maybe I am really hard on myself when it comes to impressions, I guess. Because I actually don't. When I started doing this, I was like, "Oh, my Brad voice is terrible. I'm not doing it very well." And so I kind of I think I pitch shifted it lower, and I didn't like it, so I just left it the way it is. But I played with the audio a lot before just abandoning it and just putting it up there. But I didn't like the Brad voice I did. But apparently people like it. They're like, "I can't tell the difference." So thank you. I don't agree, but thank you. It's like my Turl voice. I don't know. I suppose I should talk about the movie. This movie is padded like fucking crazy, and I talked about this before, but not only is there a lot of, this scene goes on for like 2-3 minutes, where he just walks down the hallway and you hear moaning sounds and nothing's going on, and that Torgo guy, I probably went on a little too long talking about this, but this really is the experience of the movie, is just nothing fucking happening. And the guy, they walk so slowly, and it's probably because they knew they had about a half hour worth of plot with the House of Usher thing, and they not only padded it with the walking, they padded it with the horrible Dr. Orloff, or the awful Dr. Orloff. I did a fair amount of research into this one, and I was, you know, when they start off with the old footage, you're like, what the fuck? And so I had to look it up. I was like, did they shoot this for the movie? Because this looks like a different movie. It is a different movie. I really don't get that. Another part where I kind of feel like this isn't a classic Cinema Snob episode is the fact that it's too long. I think this video is like, I can't tell. It's probably like, I think it says 16 minutes. It's probably near 20. But you know, in the old days, Brad used to knock these out. You used to watch a movie and be done with his video in like 7-8 minutes. Brad would kind of motor through these things and really just kind of touch the very basic minimums of the plot. So, you know, he's like, this movie sucks, this is what goes on, and it's over. And so, like, you know, I've actually watched the Cinema Snob episode that was like 4 minutes long. And so, this one I have a habit of ranting, and so I decided I was cutting a lot out of the scripts just because I kept bitching a lot about the stuff that doesn't happen. But yeah, I indulge myself in a bit of ranting. I love that scene where he falls. This is funny. He trips over nothing. Like, there's nothing. He doesn't even trip over his cape. I would have expected that. But he just kind of falls down and knocks himself out. Oh god. I had a story. Yeah. I was gonna put this on the Howling 2 video, but I thought it actually better fit here. This is the story of the angriest I ever got with Doug Walker, the nostalgia critic, and no, there's absolutely no problem with me and Doug. But I'll tell you the story. I was originally going to do the Cinema Snob thing as a part of Howling 2, and did I already tell the story? My memory is so shot, my head is so foggy, I can't remember. But when I was doing Howling 2, when I scripted it out, it was originally going to be me dressing as the Cinema Snob for Halloween and doing a video in his style. Snob comes in, he's upset, and we kind of do a little bit of a crossover review and kind of bicker back and forth. And so Brad emails me from Chicago, and he says, dude, I got a problem. I'm like, what? He goes, Doug is shooting Leprechaun, and his opening sketches, he dresses as the Cinema Snob, and I come in and I'm mad, and then we do a crossover review. He basically does the exact same thing, and I'm not in any way accusing Brad of Doug of ripping me off at all. We never consulted about this shit at all. It was in my script, it was in his script. Great minds think alike, and so the way Brad says he can't change the script because I'm here, we don't have a lot of time. what do you want to do? He says, like, I can still do the thing. And I was like, well, the bit is kind of dead now, isn't it? So just do your thing and I'll rewrite it. And so I rewrote Howling 2, the way it is now. So if you watch Howling 2, I just kind of do it au natural. But, yeah, that was always going to be the snob. And, in a way, I'm kind of happy because the cinema snob thing probably wouldn't have played for a movie that modern as Howling 2, which was like 1990. So it probably wouldn't have been as good. In fact, it probably wouldn't have been very funny at all, especially if had I done it immediately after the Leprechaun review. But I understood that Doug had no choice. He was not planning to rip me off, and he was he couldn't change it. He had Brad there. He had to shoot. He can't take a day out of his schedule to keep Brad just kind of sitting around playing with himself while he rewrites the script. I understood that. But at the time, I was upset. Even when I was upset, I was able to admit to myself I am really childishly upset right now because I wasn't really mad at Doug. I was mad at the situation. Like, oh, I have to rewrite this shit. I had to spend like a day rewriting it. So that was what I was mad at. But when I was mad, I was like, I'm just gonna be mad at Doug for like 2 days as I rewrite this shit and I get a new script ready. No reason. Doug did nothing wrong, but I'm gonna be mad at him just really childishly for like 2 days. So I was really mad, and I was writing my script going, fucking Doug, why did I write the same shit I did? Goddamn Doug. And so then Doug calls me, like in the middle of my scripting, and he apologizes to me. He profusely apologizes. He's just like, I feel like crap. I don't know. I couldn't change it. You have to understand. I didn't know what I couldn't stop, and I had Brad there. And I'm like, you son of a bitch. And he's like, what? I'm like, I was all set to be mad at you for no reason, but then you had to go and apologize. So now I can't be mad at you, and that makes me even madder. You know what I mean? So Doug is the nicest freaking guy. He apologized when he didn't have to apologize. The dude did nothing wrong. And even I knew that, but I was like, I'm mad. He calls me up and apologizes. The guy apologizes when he doesn't have to apologize. So that's how great he is. So I was really blown away by Doug's generosity. And I was like, dude, no apology necessary. And I was silently cursing him. I was like, God damn you. I wanted to be mad. So then I was in a good mood writing Howling 2. And yeah, that's really not much of a story there, but Doug's a really nice guy. You can't hate the guy, and I think he still feels bad about it, and he shouldn't. Like I said, I don't want there to be any rumors of there being any kind of animosity between me and Doug, because we're friends. There's even at the time I was mad. I wasn't really mad at the guy. If that's if you understand what I'm saying. Anyway, that's the story. The framing of this shot is ludicrous. Look at this. What the fuck is he focusing on? I don't get that. God damn it. What else to say about the movie? Okay, the zombies. There are no zombies in this movie, and they're only... It's actually rather ambiguous as to whether or not there are any monsters at all. Or at least the movie wants it to be ambiguous. Because, okay, take for instance this woman. Who is I think Dr. Usher's wife, I think. I can't even remember. It's his wife or his sister. I think it's his wife. No, it is his wife because she wants to fuck him, but even that doesn't mean anything. She's not a zombie because, or at least not a zombie in the typical sense, because she talks. Apparently she fucks. And she drinks blood. Which says to me vampire. Obviously, so I guess it's it's undead. It counts? I don't know. There's also a number of other women that Dr. Usher has killed in the dungeon. And, excuse me, I gotta sneeze. I'm gonna pause. Okay, sorry about that. There's a number of other women in the dungeon who, they don't look like zombies to me, because they dance and they sing, and they don't eat brains, so zombies, I don't know, I'm not feeling it. And they're not dead. Nobody in this movie is really dead, because the whole point of it is that Dr. Usher has basically found the cure to immortality, which is essentially stealing the blood from the living and injecting it into yourself. Because science. So that's how, like, Dr. Usher's like 200 years old in this movie, and he's keeping his comatose, I think I said wife earlier, girlfriend, but it's his sister, or at least in the story. In the original Poe story, it's his sister. Here, I don't know. But yeah, he basically takes blood and uses it to stay alive forever. So that's really the secret between all these guys, is they've been being injected with the blood of the innocent, and that's how they're alive so long. So again, not really zombies, they're just kind of immortal, or, you know, at the least vampires. But when it starts to get to this point, this is, like I said, where it starts to, like, get ambiguous as to whether or not it's just Dr. Usher who's crazy, like with the disappearing vampires and the dancing and the house collapsing, and Dr. Hacker, which I think it's Harker in the credits, but they call him Hacker in the dub. Even he is not sure if what he saw was real or if he's just insane, because, like, he completely buys into the theory that it's mountain fever, that it causes people to hallucinate. So he's like, I'm not sure what I saw. If I was just the ramblings of a sick and diseased mind, or if Dr. Usher was crazy, if there were monsters or not, I don't know. And he just kind of rides off into the sunset. But the whole idea that it might have just been craziness doesn't really hold water, because it's not told entirely from the point of view of Hacker. It's told from the point of view of everybody. You know, it follows the manservant, it follows Usher, and they're all seeing this stuff. So it's clearly there's something there, but there are literally no zombies in this flick. Really, the guy who's closest to being zombie is Morpho, who's kind of just a hunchbacked henchman, you know, who kills people for Dr. Usher. Anyway, I think we're running out. Yeah, we're out of this movie. So thanks for watching, everybody. I'll be back with another commentary. I gotta get up and walk around a little bit. I'm not feeling very well. Whoa. But yeah, thanks, Brad, for being a good sport. This was meant with the utmost respect. So thanks for watching, guys.